no idea what that was. All right, very cool. We have a bunch of folks in. Thank you for attending here today. Welcome to our PRSA Finger Lakes event, Tech We Love and Hate. Hopefully more love than we have hate for a lot of things, but I'm sure that there's going to be things that are going to fall into both categories. So I am Juan Vasquez-Ledin. I am the president of PRSA Finger Lakes. Thank you for joining us. We have some of the board members here from PRSA Finger Lakes as well, and folks from the board of the Northeast District as well. Thank you for joining, and folks from across the district and maybe beyond. So thank you very much for joining us. So really the format of this is going to be a sharing process. So it is just a conversation between all of us to talk about the tech that we love, the tech that we hate, the tech that is useful, and hopefully folks will be able to take away something here that actually might be useful for them to be able to use in their work as well. We've done this previously about a couple of years ago, and we ended up having a list of items that I think folks found pretty helpful and interesting. So hopefully since then, we've been able to have new tools that have sprung up. And I know that there's a lot of talk about new tools, including AI. We'll see if that shows up here in the conversation today that may be useful for some of our work. I don't know if anybody wants to maybe start off first, but if you want to start off, you may want to raise your hand. I think we can give you sharing access too if you want to share your screen, or you want to talk a little bit about the tools that you are using and how you're using. And like I said, this is more of a conversation too. So if you have questions for people while they're talking about things, please feel free to just jump in and have a conversation.
I'm happy to share one that's kind of new to me.
Go for it.
Speaking of AI, I do sometimes use Chat GPT, and I kind of think it's evil, but it's actually quite helpful sometimes. But we found another one that is pretty cool called Goblin.tools, and it has a number of tabs. I'll put it in the chat where it will make a to-do list for you. Like, I need to do this. I need to create a new marketing plan for a new building wing, and it'll give you a breakdown of steps and people to consult with. And so I haven't actually used that one too much. One I do use is the Judge, which is a really great thing that will tell you the tone of an email or a message. So sometimes I test my own emails that are memos to staff, be like, okay, I'm feeling kind of worked up about this, but is the tone being reflected as actually friendly and helpful? And it'll judge it. I don't know, you can't control how people are going to take your tone or interpret things, but I have found it to be kind of helpful. I also use Grammarly for that sometimes. But there's a number of other tools in here that we've been finding kind of fun to use or helpful occasionally. Don't use it every day, certainly, but that was a new to me one that like this one, Estimator. Just tell me how long this is probably going to take. Which is a great one for my ADHD when you're like, oh no, this thing is going to take me a year, and then you finally get to it and it, 5-minute task.
Well, what is that basing on as far as the estimate?
I have no idea.
And you can put any project in?
I guess. The one I've used the most is the to-do and the Judge. Also the formalizer I've used because it'll be like a kind of long chaotic email of thoughts that I'm like, this should probably get tidied up. So yeah, mostly for internal communications, not so much for, I really try not to use it for our blog posts and things because I feel like that should be more creative content coming from a human. but when it's just an internal communication, I find it has been helpful. Another one is chat. I got an email from the Museum Association of New York, maybe, where a lot of museums are having to create AI policies. And so what they did was they created an AI generator that will ask you a bunch of questions about your museum and then auto-generate a base AI policy for you. And so I haven't used it yet, but I'm planning to. Because it's just like really clever way to, and from that I know it's pulling from like AAM, which is the American Alliance of Museums, and other best practices. Like, is your museum based in the United States? Okay, then we're going to reference this document for best practices. Is it an art museum? Then we're going to pull in this kind of thing. So I can try to find the link to that one too. But love to get this conversation started about AI.
Let's add Zoom to the tech we love and hate.
How fitting.
I know, right? I said
Okay,
let's add Zoom
talking
to
about things that we hate.
hope everybody comes back. But
Zoom is on my list now.
yes, yeah, Zoom
Well,
is on the list of tech we love and hate. Um, I actually, so let's put, you said goblin.tools, right? That's what it, I'm going to go back and actually put that in there into the chat so everybody sees it. There we go. Awesome. Thank you, Will, for that.
I
That was,
think
I'm going to be using that from now
we
on.
have many back. Can you all hear me?
Excellent. Some are probably logging in. I can
No,
hear
but
you.
I can't hear you.
You can, okay.
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Yeah, we can hear you. Tech we love and hate, which is Zoom. Thank you for putting that in there. Thank you everybody for coming back. Sorry about that. We're back. Yeah, AI has become quite a tool that even I was, as much as I'm a techie geek, was still very cautious about using. And lately I have been using it to slightly become more efficient in terms of writing, which has been super helpful, especially when I'm dealing. I work at Cornell, so I have to deal with like academic papers a lot, and I have used it to actually try to describe some of the academic papers that I have to read and then write about. So it's been super helpful for that, and also distilling information. So I used ChatGPT the other day actually because I needed to write a very short story about a symposium that we had, and it was about all these posters that students did. And I took the column where they described all the posters and I said, "Can you write a paragraph that basically describes all of this?" And it did it. So I was pretty happy about that. So but this Goblin tools, by the way, you have now turned me on. Well, I'm going to be using that. Maybe others are going to be using it too. It does have a um Apple Intelligence flavor to it, it sounds like too, what like Apple Intelligence is looking to do with emails and writings and such. So that's awesome. We'll be using that. Um, so thank you for that. Did we interrupt anything, by the way, that you were going to talk about before we got hung up on?
no, I was convinced I accidentally turned off the meeting because I went to turn my audio off and then it all closed and I thought it was me. I thought I did it. So I'm glad it wasn't.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. Let's see if who else may have a tool that they would like to share, or hate, or love, or are kind of warm about.
I can take a turn.
Go for it.
It's not an AI tool. It's actually a project management software that our team has been working on. So let me try to share my screen here. So this project management tool is called Asana, and I'm sure it is similar to many out there, but we didn't really have we didn't really have anything like this before. So when we started using it, it was like, whoa, where's this been our whole lives? So I just thought I'd just show you a couple things on it. So by the way, I'm Jamie. I'm with Rieger Marketing Communications. So we're a 10-person shop in Binghamton, and we have a whole network of people, designers, writers, printers that we work with also. And this tool kind of keeps it all straight. So this is kind of, I'm like letting you all behind the scenes here. So it's a little nerve-wracking. But this is what we call our production sheet, and it just kind of outlines all of the clients that have active projects that we're working on. And our account executives go in and make sure that this is up to date with all the current comments and status of each job. But I wanted to kind of show you, so we kind of had some version of this list before as like a shared, basically glorified Excel sheet. But when we started using Asana, we were able to then click into and interact with elements within each job. So I'm just going to give you an example of one. So this is working for our client, ServPro. We just finished a video for them, and then we needed to make some Facebook and display ads. So there's some information here, you know, filling in the different you know, run dates of the campaigns, who's working on it, the job number for billing, all of that. And then for each job, you're able to put subtasks in. So you can kind of see how it would flow through the workflow. So you know, the account executive would say, basically, hey, here's some drafted copy. Hey, Jamie and Andy, the two copywriters, can you take a look at that? Tags me and Andy in it. We get an email that says, hey, you know, Ashley needs you to look at something in there. And then it goes through the flow, and we kind of all, you know, weigh in on, yep, copy looks great. Then the account executive would start a new subtask with design that says, that basically includes all of the, and get to the top here, all of the copy that was approved, and then starts to interact with the designer on the ad, get, you know, attach different assets that we need to make those ads. And you can kind of see in the conversation, it starts to say, you know, the designer and the account executive is going back and forth about, is this going to work right in Facebook or not? And all of a sudden it triggered our media buyer. And then at that point, the media buyer got tagged. So it's just like, instead of having 20 emails and a huge thread that then the media buyer gets pulled in, it's just one tag to say, hey, now we're in part of the conversation that involves you. And that person would just get that notification. She'd weigh in, and then she'd be out of the conversation, and it's just more efficient. So the other thing that is nice about this is that it allows for subtasks to be assigned to people. So in this case, the design was assigned to our art director, Anne. A due date was set. So when Anne goes to Asana, she would go to something that's called My Tasks over here on the side. Now, I'm not as engaged with the day-to-day projects as Anne would be, but if Anne went to her My Tasks, she could look at a calendar or a board that just kind of outlines, okay, today, you know, here's my list of things that are due today, or this week, this is my list of things that are due today that have been assigned to me. So we just really like the tool. Again, I'm sure there are others like it, but I don't know if others have thoughts about this tool or other project management tools they use.
I have a question, Jamie. Do you guys mostly work right in Asana? And like, so I saw, like, for example, there was an attachment to like a Word document. And one of the things that we struggle with is like, some people aren't in the project management software, so they don't want to have like multiple copies of.
Everyone
Does it
needs
link
do
to
it.
your shared drive?
Yeah, so I find that these kinds of things only work when everyone who is on the team is using it, because once you have one person use one thing and the others, and then all of a sudden now it's convoluted and it's extra work, because now we're emailing and we're Asana-ing about something just to include somebody. So I mean, we still have shared documents. So to address your question, we have shared documents we're a team of Microsoft Shop. So we have like OneDrive, but we're always in SharePoint, but we're always linking back to things through Asana. So you'll see some attachments, but there are also many more times we're including the link so that if anything changes
So
there,
that's pretty fluid between Asana and Microsoft. That's nice.
Yeah.
I've kind of been tasked with finding one that's like a free Microsoft app because we have Microsoft Suite.
Yeah.
And we're a nonprofit. But like I'm always surprised at how lacking the Microsoft ones are. Like the planner is like fine. The project management software is like way too extra. It's like too much information.
Yeah, we tried Planner first and thought it was not nearly as user-friendly as Asana was, and we shifted to it. Even though it makes it two different things, we just said, whatever, we'll just link things.
Yeah. We were using Teamwork for a little while, which we really liked in there. Based out of Europe, but we couldn't get everyone on board with it, so it just kind of fizzled out. And they do have a nonprofit rate for anyone that might need such a thing.
That's good. So I'll wrap it up shortly here, but just wanted to show you, like, this is the email that you would get, so that you can interact a little bit. If you don't want to keep going back to Asana, like I can at least just say, yep, you know, I opened this and I'm just going to click like, it's good, you know. But if I want to start adding, replies and stuff, I'd have to actually click in, and then it would just automatically open up that particular job in Asana where I could say, you know, hey, Caitlin, I think that looks good. So that's all I got.
Jamie, what about?
I ask you? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Heather. Go ahead.
Is this a free version of Asana that your group is using, or do you have an upgraded version?
We pay for it, and I'd have to follow up to see what level and if there is a free version, but I know we do pay per user.
Okay, I was just curious. Thank you.
Yep.
Jamie, what about the people that might be external to your agency? So you were talking about how some of the like media buyers might be in there. Are they allowed to just come in and kind of be part of something and not be a user? How do you like get the external folks in that?
Yeah, so that's actually the part that I hate about it. To use the love-hate thing. We have not found a way to have external people come in. We have a few freelance or really like they're part of our team, contractors technically, but they're constantly working within our projects and systems. So we just included a license for them, but it's not something I could justify offering to freelancers that were not as connected. So that's when it starts to break down, because then account executives are like, okay, now I got to email them externally. Now I got to copy and paste that into Asana, and then people just don't do that, and it starts to break down. So it's really, really made for those who are within the organization.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are going to be some limitations when you get outside.
Yeah, and there might be layers of like they have access, but only to this sheet and only this job. There's probably ways to do that. We have not bothered yet to figure that out. And I think it would still require some level of license for them to access it at all. Plus, there's some privacy issues too, you know, even if they could access, it's like, you know, you don't want everybody looking at everything all the time.
I do have one more question. Do you have any tips for kind of transitioning everyone into being proactive users of a platform like this?
Yeah, because that was my struggle.
Yeah. I can tell you it was not like this perfect like walk in the park for us. I guess tips wise, first, like leadership has to do it. You can't have something that the team is rolling out if then the leader is also emailing when they should be Asana-ing. We had, so like I wasn't the one, my business partner and I were not the ones that were pushing it. This was kind of an organic, bubbled up need of like, why are we looking at 20 different things? Why are we, you know, searching through emails half of our day? We don't have a good as good an archiving system as we could. So I think it worked better because it was a problem that came up from the team and the department heads, and they owned it and said, let's look at 3 different options. Okay, we looked at 3 options. This is the one we went with. And then like when it was time to get everybody to do it, I said, hey, department head, you provide training, but I'm going to back it. My business partner's going to back it. We're going to use it, but we're not the ones presenting it. Cause I think like that would just kind of feel like, hey, you don't even understand our jobs. Don't tell us how to do it. You know what I mean? When your peer is saying, hey, I think this would really be helpful. It's a different kind of message. So. Change is hard. Yeah.
It's very hard, but if you can kind of corral things into one platform, it's kind of nice.
Yeah, and building in some like, hey, we're going to try some narrative about like, we're going to try this for a while, and no one's saying this is going to be forever. We're going to evaluate it at the 3-month mark, the 6-month mark. We want everyone's feedback. You know, if this is terrible, we won't use it. You know, like just having a little freedom in that people can give feedback.
When you were doing that too, so here's a question about that, because you said you had a system just all over, right?
Yeah, it wasn't a great one, but yeah, it existed.
Were you doing parallel? Were you keeping that old system going just in case?
So it's really like we could email or we could use Asana. So email is already always still going and is parallel. We did like let the glorified spreadsheet go and said we were going to embrace this as our production sheet. And that was, I think, scary for people that were, tasked with keeping the production sheet up to date. But yeah, we did kind of say, okay, we can't have 2 things going. We have to let that go. And if Asana doesn't work out, we're gonna, we'll figure out how to update it and start from scratch. Yeah. But would love to hear from others too, other tools you guys have. Thanks.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I know we talked a little about AI, but I'm just wondering how much people are using it now to write first drafts. Willow, you're saying yeah?
Yeah, I often will. The nice thing for me is that often I have a curator that has already written the text panel for a museum exhibit, right? So someone smart has done a lot of scholarly work, and now I need to but it's not because it's meant for a visitor to read when they're in the museum. I do often, especially if I'm feeling just like stuck, right? It's like we all have days like that where it's just hard to move forward. We're just kind of like, okay, let me just stick this into ChatGPT and say, hey, can you turn this into a press release, leave space for a quote? I've gotten better, and it takes practice to learn how to prompt it. And yeah, and then I get a first draft and then I can work from there. And I do try to edit pretty heavily because just for my own ethics, I guess. It's tough when I'm writing a lot of press releases that don't even get picked up. So it's just kind of like, why put a ton of effort, creative energy into something that or social media, it's like, this is just a caption that someone's going to see for one day and then it's going to get lost in the void. So
yeah, we use
I don't know.
social all the time.
But I struggle with the ethics of it, I guess. That's why we got to work on our policy so I can either free myself of some guilt or or lean into it. Yeah.
I'll share that our marketing team is using it more and more. And we also use a number of platforms that have AI assistants built right in. So it's becoming difficult to avoid using it for things like social media planning and things of that sort. So for instance, we use HubSpot for our inbound marketing for 2 of the centers that we represent. The tool's built right into HubSpot for crafting email messaging, for crafting social media messaging. So it does take effort to kind of ensure that we're taking the time to make that content our own and not just putting like 10,000 emojis out there in every in every social media post. And I definitely agree that it takes time to kind of become familiar with how to prompt a tool. And for instance, one example I'll use is as we all have more and more put on our plates and have less and less time to do it all, put together a news article the other day, but utilized the tool to upload timelines that we had pulled together through research and previous articles that we had constructed and our content across web to kind of create the article. And right or wrong, I don't know, I felt like that was better because at least it was pulling from some of the content that we had originally crafted. But it definitely does take time to make sure that you're making it your own content.
Yeah, we have used, or at least I have used AI not to write per se, but to really just enhance the writing that has been done. So I have started to use it. In fact, I was talking with the director of the center that I work at here, and we were putting together a comms plan for the rest of Q2 for the project that he runs. And one of the things I said was we were going to take one of the weekly posts that we put out there is what we're reading this week, and it's always like some academic paper based on the research that this project is doing. And I said, what we can do is basically just send the paper to ChatGPT and say, can you spit out a social post based on the abstract that's of that paper. So we're not writing the story per se, but I've been using it for social posts. And I can be a little verbose when writing. So I'm trying to get that conciseness down. And what I've been using it for is to just basically take my writing, make it more concise. That's been huge because I will sit there, look at the screen and go, how do I shorten all of this? And I can't figure it out, but AI can kind of figure it out. And then when it spits out the result, I go, oh, that's so much better. So I've used it for editing. We're we're in a fiscal crunch, so we can't really use a lot of editors. So I will ask it to edit my papers or my writing or my articles, and I will also ask it to take something that I've written and make a social post out of it. So it's time saving, it's been money saving, and it's been headache saving too, to be able to do those things.
So a follow-up question, a lot of conversations around using AI to create articles or content, but who's using it and how for creating reports? I knew you were going to ask that, Jen. And if you hadn't, I was going to ask it, but I was like, oh, she's going to follow up with that one.
Now, Jen, when you say reports, what kind of reports? Are you talking about text reports? Or are you talking about like a data summary type of report?
A little bit of both, but so, our office deals with the admissions reports. And so being able to look at data from digital campaigns versus social media versus information from our CRM. So just curious. I mean, there's Looker Studio, but I have yet to have time to sit down and try to make that connection. So just wondering, is anybody getting a Looker Studio report out of this?
So that was going to be something I was going to share. We have contracted with a MarTech vendor that we work with very on an ongoing basis and are using Looker Studio to create a dashboard, pulling in analytics from the various tech stacks that we use, from HubSpot, from Google Analytics, from Site Improve, from financial reports. I'm not building it, and it's taken some time to even make the connections from all the platforms, mostly because we've had to get all of those approvals in place. But that is the tool that we are using to pull it all together. So I've seen version 1, and I'm happy to share as we progress through this, Jen, if it helps.
That would be great. Thanks, Heather.
I was also wondering, I haven't really explored the various different AIs. Mostly I've stuck with ChatGPT, and I know that there's a range. Have others found variants, different reasons to use different ones? What's been the research? Where's this going?
So I suppose
Inquiring mind wants to
I'll
know.
pop in and sorry for being late. I didn't realize this was a proper meeting. I'm Justin Case. I'm right next door to Jennifer Swain here at Elmira College. Um, I've actually been experimenting a little bit with DeepSeek, the Chinese equivalent to ChatGPT. Not on Elmira College equipment. I only use my own laptop because that thing's dicey anyway. But I tend to give it like weird questions and scenarios. I know Sarah and Jen have talked about using personas. Like, what would a prospective student want to see in an email or something? Like asking it questions, and you guys were talking about utilizing prompts. That's kind of an interesting way to approach it. But I think I mentioned to you two, Sarah and Jen, I even started giving it scenarios like there's 3 of us in a communications office at a small liberal arts private school, like giving it really specific scenarios just to see what it'll spit out. And I don't know. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with AI because as a creator, I'm resentful that it's trained on my stuff a little bit. I've published hundreds, if not thousands, of articles, so I'm like, oh, that's at least it's trained on good writing. Um, but yeah, I do get a little cranky about that part of it. But it is useful, and I think there's some cool ideas about editing and um, giving it the command to be more concise with what you've already crafted, and it's already got your voice and tone and feel in it, and hopefully it maintains that. But yeah, I don't know. There's some interesting ways, but yeah, Sarah says. "Hmm."
I have used it for that, and I wrote it. I knew I needed to get things down, and I wanted to do that as quickly as possible and as better than what I would probably do. And generally it's okay on keeping the tone, but it can get a little off. So then I've got to rejigger it.
Well, and it's funny, I was just looking, I was at the PRSA Northeast District Conference back in November, and the one session I attended was Brian Piper, who's at the University of Rochester, has authored a couple books on content marketing, but his session dealt specifically with AI, and he does a weekly email that you can sign up for, and he includes tips and tricks related to AI, but also just other tools that are out there. I'll see if I can't find the sign up and put it in the chat. Sometimes I read them, sometimes I don't. Just depends. But Justin mentioned the being very nice to it. And that was one thing that Brian kind of stressed, that he always starts his out with like, this is my explanation of what I am, what I'm looking for. Would you please deliver this and take your time? And then, he's like, it is an it, but there's still that sense of being polite and understanding it might take it some time.
I do find myself saying, thanks so much. Like, why does it matter? I don't know. That's funny. I was also at the same conference, and I was in a different session also dedicated to AI. There were a few. And
They also advise being polite. The kind of running joke was, we don't know what our robot overlords are going to do in the future and whether they'll classify us based upon how we treated them early in the early days. So like, like yes, I will be kind to the robots.
And isn't that take your time more than just like being polite? It's also saying like, dig deeper, robot. I'm willing to wait for you to really process more of what I'm asking, right? It's like also a functional prompt too.
Well, nowadays too, when you Google something, right, it's going to give you the AI generated version first. And so often it's just completely wrong. like this is a really dumb example, but I was watching a Harry Potter movie and I was like, when did that character die? What book was it? And I tried to Google it and it was wrong. I like triple checked it and I was like, that's just incorrect. And that's such a dumb example, but I was just like, I don't, people, and then we've been talking mostly about text generation, as far as image generation, I feel like that is where this gets really upsetting because people really see something, they think it's a photograph, they think it's real. For some reason, they see that as like, that's real news. There's no way that could be faked. Whereas I'm more likely to doubt written text. Like I'll be like, oh, that, I'm going to triple check that because like I'm just more trained, I guess. And so I was talking to my mom about AI. She's in her 60s. She was saying, she can tell when something is AI generated in writing for some reason. Yet she's always sending me, look at this cute cat and baby interacting. It's obviously AI generated. So she's like got a nose for it in one area and not in another. And so just something I've been thinking a lot about as in the industry we're in is like being really responsible with media literacy, and teaching young people how to decipher what's real and what's not, because it gets scary, when you start thinking about it being used for the wrong thing.
I've seen Google searches for health stuff that have been totally wrong. So that's where it starts to be, AI can be a little wrong there. And also, we are in the Adobe space here at Cornell. So we have access to their stock photos, which is great. But now, even in the searches, it's starting to become AI generated photos. And I don't know how I feel about that. It's like I didn't pay to have you generate an AI photo. Like I paid you for stock photos. So um I find that a little odd. So
It is nice that they at least give you an option to filter out AI results,
yes,
which I always do because I'm like, I want an actual photo if we're going to get one here.
exactly. I feel like I can use an AI photo if it is one of those non-living object images. Like, I need a photo of a that represents science and it's a beaker, right? Okay, I'm fine with that, but don't AI generate somebody in a lab coat supposedly doing stuff. That's kind of where I draw the line.
Because they'll
Yeah,
have like a third eye.
same line.
But then you're gonna get some like scientists be like, the measurements are totally wrong on that beaker, it's so obviously incorrect.
That's,
It's just like depends on the audience, I guess.
I know. Someone who's married to the scientist that is like, yeah, I'm a little, I'll end it right there.
I have a
Anybody
question
else?
about just like AI used for legal documents, like not scary, not big scary ones, just like, okay, I have to write a contractor agreement or I have to um, you know, have a part-time employment agreement. Like it feels like these are basic things that I probably don't need to spend money on a lawyer about, but I also want to make sure it's like, I don't know, not out of my own head. So I'm like using at least Chat GPT to draft those things, but then I'm kind of feeling like, oh gosh, and like this is probably not the road I should go down. But then I thought, I don't know, maybe this is what everyone else is doing too. Any thoughts from the crowd on that? I know what a lawyer would say. Don't trust any of that.
Right. As creatives, right, we're all very
Yeah,
I don't know.
tuned
I
into
feel
that
like lawyers
aspect.
are doing it.
I know. For simple
Maybe
things,
they are.
again, not.
I think for some things that we're using AI for now, you can also just search for templates and find stuff. I mean,
Right.
and I think I'm still not at the point where I'm happy to say, okay, AI generates something for me when I can find half a dozen templates and just eyeball them myself.
Yeah.
But, I'm a volunteer, so I don't have the time pressure or the, overload pressure that a lot of people do.
If I can talk from a government perspective, I have not really brought AI too much into my workforce just because I'm terrified to. I was also very much, even though I'm younger, I'm still in my late 20s. And a lot of people are like, oh, you love AI. I'm like, actually, no, I hate AI. Like, I don't hate it. I'm just kind of afraid of it because I was a news reporter at first, so I was very like genuine written content for a very long time. And then in radio, I did genuine written content. So like I also have a side marketing job that I do as well. And my boss is very into using it's not ChatGPT, it's the other one. It's by Google, I think. I can't remember what it's called, but it's whatever their version is. And he's like, oh, yes, Gemini. And he's like, oh, this is fantastic. You just da 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, but I can kind of tell when you've used AI compared to if one of us has just genuinely written it. So I'm like on the fence of like, I love it, but like I still really love organic content. But what I will say I have really enjoyed using ChatGPT for is that, so I run the City of Elmira's social pages, is using it to come up with hashtags. That has been like the best thing for me, that I saw like a TikTok influencer say like, this is how I do this. And I was like, oh my God, I've never thought of such a thing. So I just go in and I say, can I have hashtags for this thing? And I do write like, so if you want to copy and paste it, you have to say no bullet points because they'll give it to you in bullet points. But it has been fabulous because it scans trending hashtags of that specific topic and comes up with things that I've never even thought to include as a hashtag, because I don't know about anybody else if you run socials or not, but hashtags are like one of the most annoying things because they do really impact your algorithm, but you have to pick and choose the right ones, what order they go in, all of those underlying factors. And so I will say having a little robot help me come up with all of those things is nice. And also sometimes like a catchy caption, because city stuff isn't always glamorous, so like coming up with a good caption that will like entice people to click on a video or a press release or something. Now I'm not using all the time, again, because sometimes I can just click and play, but sometimes I'm like, okay, like we just recently had a whole like trash can thing go on. I was like, how can I make trash a little bit more fun? So I like go into ChatGPT and be like, help me come up with a cast thing for releasing new trash cans in the city of Elmira, and it helped a little bit. I'm still very organic content for the age I am. I just like, it's the news reporter in me that I'm like, I learned typing for too long to give it up to the robot. But yeah, that's my little take.
I will say because I was also a reporter, I never liked writing headlines though. So I asked ChatGPT, give me like 4 or 5
That
headlines.
would have been amazing in news to have
Yeah,
somebody
right.
come up with the headlines for me, because like coming up with a good catchy thing, like I also just hate clickbait. So like I feel like maybe they
Yeah.
could come up with like less clickbaity ones, but I don't know. Some people love clickbait, it just isn't my style.
No, I'm not a fan. But I do love puns, and Jen and Justin have to suffer through that. So like I'm always asking it to be punny, to be cute, but to keep it concise. And it just saves so much time, and I'm not great at making up my own headlines fast at all. Like, or even when I'm slow. So I'm like, thank you. I love you, robot, some days.
We're talking about things we hate. one thing I really hate right now is that Microsoft, I don't know if everyone uses Microsoft Suite, but it really wants you to use the web app instead of the desktop app. And every time someone opens it in the web app, it messes with all the formatting. So like if you have an image in there at all, it's gonna look crazy. So I like made a 1-pager for my boss and she was like, it's spread out over 5 pages. And I'm like, well, it's on 1 page. I like have to send her a screenshot to show. And I can't figure out how to get her to stop using the web app. And it's a little maddening. So I just want to yeah, put that out to the Microsoft gods to fix that, because oh my God. It's just such a time suck.
I would just like gripe session. I would add to that because we are a Google school, and so some people really know how to switch back and forth between, you know, a Google Doc, a Word doc, but then can't use the Google Doc version or the Google Sheet version. So, you know, I'll create something for someone and put it in a Google Doc for them to review. And they're like, well, yeah, but when I download it, it's all weird and funky. And I'm just like, learn how to use it.
Don't
Same with
download it.
a Google Sheet. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
That says as much as I want to love Microsoft, it annoys me every time. The annoyance I have with Microsoft. Thanks, Christina. Thank you for joining us. I really did want to ask Christina too if the city has come up with an AI policy. So I know a lot of companies are coming up with that. Um, the thing that annoys me, and we get that here a lot at Cornell, is the AI or the AI. See, AI on the brain. We have a lot of presentations, PowerPoint, between a Mac PowerPoint and the PC PowerPoint. And the two cannot figure it out. Like, it is Microsoft. Can you not figure this out? Can you not figure out how to make a presentation actually look the same in both? Because there's always differences. Because we have Windows
Google.
machines here. Did you
Yeah,
say Google?
yeah, same with Google. I got really frustrated. I can easily go between Word and Google Doc and Excel and Google Sheets, but I cannot go easily between PowerPoint and the Google one. It's not a fun experience. And I like PowerPoint way too much comparatively. So I just default to that one whenever I can. But yeah, I wish that PowerPoint could be more universalized in some way, because
Yeah.
That's what I don't get, because it's like PowerPoint has it figured out as far as formatting text and images together without it being a big deal. And yet Microsoft Word is like, I'm broken. This is too much. It's just like, figure it out. Like this, sometimes I make just things in PowerPoint instead, just even though they should be a Word document. Just silly.
oh yeah, I will go to PowerPoint for all sorts of things that it really kind of should be Word, but it's so much easier to move text and images in a way that I'm like, like just even when drafting a web page, I love using PowerPoint to go through that phase because you can move things.
We also use Canva quite a bit at the Rockwell. We have a free nonprofit, so it does allow us to get some of those free graphics and stuff. And that's pretty useful, especially for like museum store signage, where it's just like a little thing that's like, this is on sale, and we can train our front line to use those templates and not have to be like super designy.
Does
That's good.
anyone, Juan or Heather, do you guys have the paid versions of Canva at your institutions? Is it university wide or is it by school?
We do have the paid version and we just have it for our unit for a number of team members.
It is one of the things that at the university-wide communicators retreat that we had, I was trying to get folks to realize like a university-wide Canva. Can we somehow get that? If it's free for nonprofits, how can we not get the university to jump on that from a university level? And we also have Adobe too, so there's licenses. Everybody's got a license. And I use Adobe especially when I have to deal with outside folks for some sort of graphic design. But a lot of folks will use Canva, and we've just got 8 million accounts all over the place.
That's the way it is here. There are a lot of the students use it for their clubs and organizations. They use it for class. A lot of the faculty are using it. And we actually met with a Canva rep a few years ago. So as an institution, we could get a license so that all faculty and students would have access to it, and we could set the branded colors and the logos and all that fun stuff. But it was going to cost, I don't know, that was like 4 years ago that we looked at it. So I'm sure it's more now. But to me at the time, especially when we have such a small team, I'm like, this would just make the branding so much more cohesive.
And it would just be there's folks that like if you are a graphic design, a comms pro, and you'll know when you have to use one or the other. There are certain things that I'll create in Canva, and there's certain things that I'll create in InDesign or Illustrator. But sometimes like there's folks who are not in a communications role that need to create things like that Canva is just perfect. Invites, small little graphics, it's perfect. But we have 8 million accounts roaming around right now. And Beth said something about Publisher and the fact that Microsoft is phasing out Publisher. And I'm sad about that because I used to create stuff in Publisher too, because I worked at a place that we didn't have Adobe. There wasn't a organizational wide Adobe account. So Publisher was kind of nice. And as much as some people may stick their nose up at it, I made TV graphics with Publisher. So it was fine.
So I was going to share something quickly with the group, and if I may ask anyone who might be interested or who has a dog or is a dog lover to serve as a focus group. So we've been talking about who's been utilizing AI and what different tools you're utilizing. We're getting ready to roll out. Our next phase is our public launch of an AI chatbot that we've created. When I say we, I don't mean I at all. And I can't really tell you what it's built in. I do have the information somewhere if you're interested, and I can share that, but I don't know it off the top of my head to share all of the accurate technical description. But this is a link to our big red Bark chat. This URL will change because the marketing team is coming in now to address the official name of our chatbot, as well as the look and feel. So the look and feel will change as well. But it's been really interesting to be involved in projects where we're rolling something out in terms of an AI, a generative AI tool for folks that's addressing specific needs. So the first that we rolled out was for the Feline Health Center, and that was Cat GPT. That's a paid version of Chat GPT. This is a free version of an AI tool that has been built with the support of AWS, because there's a relationship between Cornell and AWS. And it's been trained with specific materials across the College of Veterinary Medicine, including health topics that have been created for the Canine Health Center, lecture notes, the consultant, which is a peer-reviewed, publicly searchable review of recent research publications on canine health, all animal health. So it's been interesting to be involved kind of from this end of things. And we're just gathering more feedback before we roll out officially. So
So Heather, I did open it up. So you're looking for people to kind of use it and then provide feedback? Because I am a dog lover.
yeah, yes. So it is a tool to provide dog owners with health information. There's the ability to upload medical records from your veterinarian, although we're being very careful about conveying and communicating that this is not a replacement by any means for veterinary care. It's also a little tricky because this tool, we're trying to really address two audiences, and that's like the lay audience, your, everyday dog owner looking for health information in lay terms, as well as veterinarians, and providing them with, reviewed research and information at that level. So that's been some of the drawback I've seen, but again, it's all about the prompts. So we've developed some prompts to try and help people, guide people through getting the type of information they want to see returned.
Very cool. Yes, ask it what breed of dog you should get. Is it ask my dogs, like, will you stop begging for a peanut butter sandwich in the morning because you gave it to them once and now all of a sudden it's like they need it all the time.
It did give me an
Well.
answer, Heather.
It
Yeah.
did?
I said, here's what I need.
Great.
Moderate activity needed, good with kids. And it gave me a little bullet list of
Yeah, I
breeds to
also
keep an eye out for.
I entered in. I don't have a puppy, but my friends just got one, and he seems to be getting worse, not better with the potty training. So I asked for tips about that, and it got it came back with tips to help get back on track, and it also said like, don't worry, this is common. And while I've also assessed the reason for this happening, uh, from my judgmental point of view. It kind of affirmed me, so yay.
Good. So the tone is good.
And it does say, this is general guidance, but definitely don't trust me, which is pretty hilarious.
I asked it who is a good dog and it gave me back hashtag all dogs are good dogs. So
Oh, very nice. I like
there you
it.
go.
Well, I
Love it.
appreciate it.
That is awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that. I know some folks have dropped off, and for those that are still here that shared stuff, thank you so much for sharing a lot of this. We'll compile this into a document and then share that out with everybody, and we'll share the video out with everybody too. So thank you all. That was fun.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
got some new tools that I'm gonna go have fun with, including this big red dog chat. So